Hello, we're ready for wow number 5, and our first word this week is graph, which is a root that means writing and is used in several words that we use quite regularly, like graph paper because you're writing on paper, and autograph, which is the act of signing a paper. And then there's this thing called a seismograph, which is a device that writes down the movements of the earth. And you might see it in really bad movies about earthquakes because most movies about earthquakes are really bad. And then a cartographer is a person who practices cartography, which is the act of writing a map or map making. So I tried to branch out here and give you some new words that you didn't already know, because you should already know what paragraph is and what biography is and what autobiography is. And all of those have graph in them because they have to do with writing. All right, so we're going to get a little tricky this week because in order to have all that writing, you have to have somebody who writes, which is a scribe, or it's an act of a script. So this is the definition of these two words, and they're used all the time. Again, you've seen them in things like a prescription. I just used the word scribe, a subscription, an inscription, a manuscript, but also in words like scribble, which is sloppy writing that you can't really read. In this case, it's just a big bunch of blobbity goo. Or transcribe, which is where you change something in one form to a written form, like in this picture here where music is being transcribed into lyrics. Or like in PS, for P.S. I Love You. I know girls, you all love that movie, and maybe some boys too, I don't know. But anyway, a PS means a postscript because it's after you've already written the letter. And then PS, you also meant to include this fine little note here in this example from Gerald Ford to Mr. Arthur Ashe. So that's what a PS is. In case you didn't know, that's an important life lesson right there. Okay, so moving on to our prefixes this week, we're going to have a combo here with co and com. And I just used the word combo, which is essentially what it means together or with. So like I said, combo would be an example of that. Cohesive, combine, things like that. Also, committee, because it's a group of people who meet together to discuss a topic. Compare, like in that phrase, you can't compare apples to oranges, because it's when you put things together and try to see how they're the same. And this might be a new word or not. Commiserate, which is where you try to feel together with someone in their time of sadness. And finally, in that bumper sticker we see around, coexist, because it's trying to promote that everybody should be able to live together and get along with each other. Okay, so then our last prefix is contra or counter, which both mean against or opposite. So like in contrast, we want you to look at different things and see how they are opposites of each other. Or you might have been called a contrarian because you always like to step out and say the opposite of what's expected. And perhaps at work you've had to look for counterfeit bills because those are money going against real stuff. It's the opposite of real, which would be fake. And then counterclockwise because it's the opposite of clockwise. So that's your words for this week. Have a good one.